Have you ever told yourself it was a long time ago, so it should not matter anymore? Have you ever wondered why your mind understands but your body still reacts like the danger is happening right now? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about something that so many people carry quietly. Trauma and the strange, frustrating experience of knowing you are safe while still feeling unsafe. The main point I want you to hold through this whole story is simple. Healing is not a decision you make once. Healing is a process the brain and body learn through repetition. And the second point is just as important. If you treat your trauma response like a personal failure, you add shame to pain, and that slows everything down. But if you understand what is happening in your nervous system, you can bring wisdom and compassion to the parts of you that are still protecting you. Let me start with a scene that is painfully common. There is someone named Nia. Nia is smart. She has done the reading. She has watched videos. She has told herself the past is the past. She can even explain what happened with a calm voice. If you met her at school or work, you might think she has it handled. But then a small thing happens. A door slams. Someone raises their voice just a little. A certain smell drifts in from somewhere. A text arrives late. A friend stops responding. And suddenly her chest tightens. Her thoughts speed up. Her stomach drops. She feels heat in her face and a coldness in her hands. She knows it is an overreaction, yet it does not feel optional. It feels like her body is doing something without asking permission. That is the moment people call crazy or weak or dramatic. That is the moment people say, why can you not just get over it? But the truth is, Nia is not failing at logic. Her nervous system is doing its job based on what it learned. To understand this, we need to stop thinking of trauma as only a memory. Trauma is also a pattern of survival responses that got trained into the brain and body. When something overwhelming happened, the body needed to keep you alive. It learned it fast. It learned what to scan for. It learned which cues might mean danger. It learned how to mobilize energy to fight or flee, or how to freeze and go numb when fighting and fleeing were not possible. And here is the key. The nervous system does not care about your adult opinions. The nervous system cares about survival. It cares about speed. It reacts before your thinking brain finishes a sentence. So when Nia says, I should be over this, she is speaking from her thinking mind. But her body is speaking from a deeper layer that was trained by fear, helplessness, unpredictability, or pain. That deeper layer is not convinced by lectures. It is convinced by experiences of safety repeated over time. This is why people can feel embarrassed by their reaction. They say, I know better. But the body is not trying to be rational. The body is trying to prevent a repeat of danger. Now let us walk this through as a story with real-life texture. Nia grew up in an environment where conflict was unpredictable. Sometimes everything was fine. Then, suddenly voices rose. Doors slammed. Someone left. Someone cried. Someone blamed. She learned to watch faces, to read tone, to anticipate mood shifts. That is not a personality trait. That is a survival skill. Years later, she is in a normal situation. Our roommate is stressed and snaps. The roommate is not dangerous, but the tone carries the same shape as the old danger. Nia feels the wave. Her body reacts as if it is back there, and her mind rushes in trying to control it. Do not react. Stay calm. You are being silly. Stop. That inner pressure adds more threat. Now she is not only dealing with the trigger, she is dealing with self-judgment. The system becomes even more activated. So when someone tells Nia to just get over it, they are basically saying use your thinking mind to override your survival brain. That can work in small moments for some people. But as a long-term strategy, it often fails because trauma is not only a thought, it is a state. Let us talk about state for a second in a way that makes sense. A state is how your nervous system is tuned in a given moment. Calm, engaged, grounded, connected, safe enough, or tense, scanning, defensive, shut down, numb. When trauma is active, the body is in a protective state. In a protective state, the brain prioritizes threat detection. That means attention narrows. That means neutral cues can look negative. It means your body releases stress hormones to prepare for action. That means digestion changes, sleep changes, memory changes, and the ability to think clearly decreases. So the very state that makes you want to reason your way out is the state that makes reasoning harder. That is why trauma feels like being trapped inside a loop. And this is where science and spiritual wisdom quietly meet. Science says the nervous system needs safety cues to shift states. Spiritual wisdom says the mind needs awareness to stop being dragged. Science says repetition rewires pathways. Spiritual wisdom says practice shapes destiny through cause and effect. Science says connection heals. Spiritual wisdom says compassion dissolves suffering by softening resistance. Same mountain, different trails. Now let us bring in another character. There is a friend of Nia named Marcus. Marcus went through a car accident years ago. Physically, he recovered. Mentally, he told himself it is fine. But months later, he noticed something strange. When he drove on the highway, his hands gripped the wheel too hard. His heart raced. He felt irritated at other drivers. He wanted to speed up then slow down. He could not relax. He avoided certain roads. He told himself he was being ridiculous. He had no reason to be scared. But his body remembered the moment of impact, not as a story, but as a pattern. Loud noise, sudden motion, loss of control, danger. His nervous system associated speed with threat. So even in safe conditions, his system activated. If you look at this with compassion, it makes perfect sense. The body learned a lesson. The lesson was not philosophical. The lesson was visceral. Highway equals danger. That is a simple cause and effect inside the brain. So what is healing? Healing is teaching a new lesson. Highway can be safe. My body can be present without bracing. I can writhe and breathe. I can notice tension and soften. I can build tolerance in small doses. I can return to calm after activation. I can trust myself again. Notice what that requires. It requires more than telling yourself you are fine. It requires the body having new experiences. This is why trauma-informed healing is often described as bottom-up. Not only top-down. Top-down means thinking, analyzing, reframing, understanding. That can help. But bottom-up means working with the body, the breath, the nervous system, the sensations, and the relational environment. Bottom-up is what tells the survival brain the danger is not here. For Nia, understanding helped her stop blaming herself. But she still needed practices that changed her state. At first, she tried to meditate, but sitting quietly made her feel worse. This is another thing many people do not understand. For some trauma survivors, stillness is not calming. Stillness can feel unsafe. When you are still, sensations become louder. Memories can surface. The body can interpret relaxation as vulnerability. So some people try meditation and think it does not work for them, when actually they need a different kind of entry. So Nia started with something simpler: orientation. She would look around the room slowly and name what she saw in her mind. Window, chair, lamp, book, floor. She would feel her feet on the ground. She would press her fingertips together and feel sensation. She would listen for ordinary sounds. A fan, distant traffic, a fridge humming. These were signals to the brain that the current environment is different from the past environment. Then she used breath in a way that respected her body, not forcing deep breathing, because forcing can feel like being controlled. She simply lengthened the exhale slightly. The nervous system often responds to a longer exhale as a cue of safety. She did not demand immediate calm. She practiced small shifts, from 9 out of 10 intensity to 8, from 8 to 7. Enough. And here is where compassion becomes a method, not just a nice idea. Nia practiced talking to her inner protector. She would say silently, "I know you are trying to keep me safe. Thank you. We are here now. I will take care of us." That might sound strange if you have never done it, but it works because trauma responses are parts of the self that got stuck in time. They carry fear and urgency. When you meet them with kindness, they soften. When you attack them, they escalate. This is cause and effect again. If you respond to your own fear with fear, fear multiplies. If you respond to fear with warmth, fear has a chance to settle. Over weeks, Nia noticed something important. Her triggers did not disappear, but she recovered faster. That is a major sign of healing. Many people measure healing by whether they get triggered, but the more accurate measure is how quickly you can return to regulation after being triggered, and how often you can stay present without collapsing into old patterns. Marcus had a similar change. He began to drive in short sessions, not forcing himself to do long highways immediately. He paired driving with grounding. He played calm music. He loosened his grip intentionally. He practiced noticing when his shoulders rose and then letting them drop. He took breaks. He celebrated progress, not perfection. And slowly the highway became less threatening. Now let us address a question that often shows up in people's minds in this topic. If trauma is stored in the body, does that mean you cannot think your way out? No. It means thinking is not enough on its own. Thinking is the map. The body is the terrain. You need both. Understanding can remove shame. It can help you choose a path. But the nervous system learns through felt safety, through experiences of agency, through repeated successful returns to calm, and through relationships where you are seen and respected. Relationships matter because trauma often happens in relationship, even if it was an accident or illness. Because after trauma, many people feel alone with the experience. Healing often requires connection because the nervous system co-regulates. This means that a calm, safe person can help your body settle. And you can learn that settling is possible. This is why kindness from a friend can feel more regulating than your own advice. Your nervous system is designed to feel safety through social cues. Warm voice, steady presence, gentle eye contact, respectful pacing. These are safety signals. When someone validates your experience without dramatizing it, your body can exhale. This is also why certain relationships can keep trauma alive. If you live with someone unpredictable, critical, explosive, or dismissive, your nervous system stays on guard. You can do all the healing practices you want, but if your environment keeps delivering danger cues, the system will keep bracing. Healing is not only inner work. Sometimes it is changing boundaries and environments. That is wisdom, not weakness. Now, there is a part of trauma healing that is both scientific and deeply spiritual. The ability to stay with sensation without being overwhelmed. When trauma responses arise, the body floods with sensation, tightness, shaking, heat, numbness, pressure, nausea, buzzing. The mind wants to escape. It reaches for distraction or control. But healing often requires learning to be with sensation in small doses while staying anchored in the present. This is what some people call titration. A little at a time. You do not jump into the deepest memory and relive it alone at midnight. You take small sips of awareness. You build capacity. Capacity is the ability to feel without collapsing. In spiritual language, capacity is inner strength, not brute force, inner steadiness. So Nia practiced a simple method. When she felt activation, she would notice one sensation, then return to a safe anchor. She might notice tightness in her chest, then return to her feet on the ground. She might notice buzzing in her hand, then return to the sound of the fan. She would go back and forth, sensation then anchor, sensation then anchor. This teaches the nervous system that you can touch discomfort and come back to safety. Over time, the discomfort becomes less terrifying because it is no longer a trap. It becomes a wave you can ride. This is also where the concept of impermanence becomes healing. Sensations change. Emotions change. Activation peaks and falls. When you learn to witness that change, you stop believing every surge is permanent. You stop believing every panic is a prophecy. You stop believing every numbness means you will never feel again. Impermanence is not just philosophy. It is a nervous system lesson. This will pass. Now let us talk about the brain in a simple way, because this matters for self-compassion. When threat is detected, the brain shifts resources. The parts responsible for reflection and nuanced thinking become less active, while the parts responsible for survival become more active. This is why trauma triggers can make people say things they regret, misread cues, or feel trapped in black and white thinking. It is not because they are immature. It is because the brain is prioritizing survival. Knowing this helps you forgive yourself. It also helps you plan. If you know your brain will go into survival mode, you can build a plan for those moments. A plan is not a rigid script. It is a set of practices you can reach for when you cannot think clearly. Nia wrote a few simple reminders in her phone. Not inspirational quotes, but practical cues. Feel your feet. Drink water. Step outside. Text a safe person. Breathe out longer. Name 5 things you see. Move your body. These are small actions that tell the nervous system, we are here now. We are safe enough. We have choices. Choice is crucial. Trauma often involves loss of choice. Healing restores choice. Even tiny choices matter. Choosing to sit near the door in a crowded room. Choosing to leave early. Choosing to say no. Choosing to take a break. When you make choices that respect your nervous system, you build trust with yourself. Trust is the foundation of calm. Now, there is a part of trauma healing that is hard to talk about but important. The grief that comes when you stop numbing. Many people have survived by going numb. Numbing can be substances, work, scrolling, overachievement, avoiding feelings, staying busy, staying in drama, staying in control. When you start healing, the numbness decreases and feelings rise. This can feel like getting worse, but it can actually be thawing. The heart is warming. The system is allowing emotion again. This is where compassion needs to be steady. If you judge yourself for feeling, you will try to numb again. If you allow yourself to feel with gentle structure, the feelings move through. Nia experienced this. Once she started grounding, she cried more. She felt anger she never allowed herself to feel. She felt sadness for her younger self. She felt grief for time lost to survival. At first she thought she was breaking, but then she realized she was finally processing. Processing means the nervous system completes what it could not complete before. It means the story becomes integrated instead of erupting as triggers. This is also where skilled support can matter. A trauma-informed therapist or counselor can help you pace, can help you build resources, can help you stay within your window of tolerance, can help you avoid re-traumatization. Some people can do a lot on their own, but many people heal faster and more safely with guidance, especially when trauma is complex. Now let us weave in the spiritual layer in a grounded way. In many wisdom traditions, awakening is learning to see clearly. Trauma often distorts perception by making the present look like the past. Healing is clearing that distortion, not by denying what happened, but by separating then from now. When your nervous system learns now, your awareness becomes clearer. You can respond to life rather than react from old fear. There is also the practice of compassion that extends beyond the self. As people heal trauma, many become kinder to others because they recognize hidden battles. They stop assuming everyone is fine. They stop interpreting some behaviors as personal attacks and start seeing fear underneath. This does not mean you tolerate harm. It means you understand suffering while setting boundaries. That is mature compassion. Cause and effect shows up here too. When you are healed, you cause less harm. When you are regulated, you do not spread your pain. You can break cycles. This is how personal healing becomes collective healing. Let us return to Nia for a moment. Months into her healing, she has a conflict with a friend. The friend is late and dismissive. Old Nia would have gone into shutdown, then resentment, then either ghosting or exploding later. But now she notices activation early. Her heart speeds up, her throat tightens. She grounds. She breathes out. She says calmly, "When you cancel last minute without checking in, I feel disrespected, and I need more consideration." Her voice shakes slightly, but she says it. The friend apologizes. They adjust. Nia leaves the conversation feeling proud, not because she dominated, but because she stayed present. That is healing. It is not only feeling calm, it is having agency. Marcus has a similar moment. He is on the highway, and a truck swerves slightly. He feels the surge, but instead of panicking, he acknowledges it, loosens his grip, breathes, slows a little, gives himself space. The surge passes. He keeps driving. Later he realizes, "I handled that. My body reacted, and I responded wisely." That becomes a new memory. New memory rewires the system. This is why people cannot just get over trauma. Because trauma is not only the memory of what happened, it is the absence of new corrective experiences. Healing is building those experiences. Now let us talk about what gets in the way. Because this is where many people get stuck. One obstacle is self-blame. If you think your trauma response means you are weak, you will hide it. And hiding increases shame. And shame increases threat. And threat increases symptom. The loop continues. The antidote is understanding and kindness. Another obstacle is rushing. People want to heal quickly, to be done. But the nervous system does not respond well to being forced. For many people, forcing feels like the original trauma, being pushed beyond capacity. So healing requires pacing. Pacing is wisdom. Another obstacle is the idea that talking about it should be enough. Talking can help, but talking alone can keep you stuck in the story if the body never feels safe while remembering. Trauma-informed approaches often emphasize that the body must be involved. Grounding, breath, movement, sensation, safe connection. Another obstacle is avoidance. Avoidance feels protective, but long-term it keeps fear alive. The nervous system learns safety by approaching in small, tolerable steps, not by never approaching. The key word is tolerable. You do not flood yourself, you titrate. Now I want to bring this into your life more directly. If you are listening and you recognize yourself, maybe you have said, "I do not understand why I react this way." Maybe you have judged yourself for not being over it. Please let this land. Your reactions are not a moral failure. They are learned protective responses. And learned responses can be unlearned. Not by shame, but by practice. Practice can look like this. You learn to notice early cues. Shallow breath, racing thoughts, numbness, irritability. You learn to pause. You ground. You orient. You breathe out longer. You move gently. You drink water. You step into air. You reach out to a safe person. You remind yourself that you are here now. You also build a life that supports regulation. Enough sleep when possible. Nourishing food. Movement. Less chaos. Less constant stimulation. More boundaries. More honest relationships. More moments of quiet that feel safe because you built them gradually. You also learn to speak to yourself differently. Instead of "what is wrong with me?" you ask, "what is my body trying to protect me from?" Instead of "stop it," you say, "I see you." Instead of "I hate this," you say, "this is hard and I will stay with myself." That last part is the heart of it. Staying with yourself. Many people with trauma learn it to leave themselves. Dissociation, distraction, numbing. Healing is the return. Returning to the body with gentleness. Returning to the present with awareness. Returning to life with compassion. This return is also destiny. Not destiny as a fixed script, but destiny as the direction of your life shaped by repeated choices. Every time you choose a regulating practice over a harmful coping pattern, you shift the trajectory. Every time you choose compassion over self-attack, you shift the trajectory. Every time you choose truth over denial, you shift the trajectory. That is cause and effect. That is karma in the simplest sense. Now I want to share a final story that often brings the whole idea together. Nia visits her childhood neighborhood years later. She thinks she will be fine. She has done so much work. But when she walks past a certain house, her stomach turns. Her body remembers. She feels tears rise. For a moment she feels embarrassed. Then she pauses. She places a hand on her chest. She looks around. She sees the sky. She hears birds. She feels the ground under her feet. She tells herself, I am here now. That was then. I survived. I am safe enough. She lets the tears fall quietly. Not as a collapse, but as a release. She keeps walking. Later she realizes something important. The goal was never to erase her past. The goal was to be able to stand near it without losing herself. That is healing. That is freedom. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this resonated, I invite you to share in the comments what you notice in your body when you feel triggered, and what helps you come back to the present. Your words might be the exact permission someone else needs to stop blaming themselves. Subscribe to the channel if you want more long-form stories that combine science-grounded understanding with spiritual practice and compassion. Like the video if it helped you feel seen. And if you want to support the channel and keep these deeper conversations going, you can join the membership and help this space stay alive.